When life throws you the unexpected, wouldn't it be great to have someone right there with you? Like a good neighbor, State Farm agent Thomas Horn is there, ready to help protect what matters most to you. Call Thomas today at 229-798-4018 for a free quote. He might just save you money and get you better protected. Serving all of Southwest Georgia like a good neighbor, State Farm agent Thomas Horn is there. Visit his website at thomasismyagent.com.
You know, can they do that against the team that is explosive?
I think Alabama's going to win, but I think it's going to be a good game.
Mike Norvell has 6
That's wild.
3-game losing streaks. Welcome back to another episode of the Southern Football Report, presented by State Farm agent Thomas Horn, thomasismyagent.com. If you're looking for auto, home, or life insurance anywhere in Southwest Georgia, Thomas Horn, State Farm agent, thomasismyagent.com. Each week we get a personal testimonial from one of his loyal customers, Kyle.
Thomas is my agent. I talked to him about an hour and a half ago. He's doing well, helping me out.
That's awesome. Yep. Great stuff there. We really appreciate Thomas Horn, State Farm agent, for presenting the Southern Football Report. And we are just going to dive right on in the studio. I've got Kyle Shaver sitting directly across from me. On the phone, I've got Brian Howell. Brian's working again.
Somebody's got to do it.
I'm glad somebody works around here. And me and Kyle, we've just been really goofing off all day.
Well, yeah, and we coached a little bit of football last night. You know, we're just having a good time.
Yep. Brian, how are things where you are?
Oh, it's all good, man. I miss you guys, though. I'll be back in there next week.
Good. We're looking forward to having you back. We've got a lot to talk about again this week. As we do each week, we'll start with a little review portion of last week's games before we go into our preview segment. And let's just go ahead. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. Let's review the Florida State Pitt game from last Saturday. Anybody want to go first?
We'll let you go first.
Yeah, do it, dude.
The best way I know to explain my frustration with last Saturday's Florida State Pitt game is with about 2.5 minutes left to go in the game, I got up and went and got on the lawnmower.
I have a similar experience, but we'll get into that in a few games.
I had a pair of sunglasses sitting on the couch next to me, and I had a glass of water I was sitting on the back porch, I had a glass of water sitting on the little table in front of me, and I picked up my sunglasses, took a sip of water, put my sunglasses on, and walked out the back door, and Henry, my little boy, goes, "Where are you going?" I didn't even respond.
That's one of those, you did not pass go, you did not collect $200. You just went to jail.
I just went and got on the lawnmower and finished. At least I knew when I got done with cutting the grass, I would be happy.
Something will be accomplished.
Wasted my time.
I've washed my truck before in the fourth quarter of the Georgia-Florida game, so if that makes you feel any better.
Oh, man. I have a friend up in Damascus who's an Auburn fan. And a couple of years ago, he started, when he would get frustrated with the Auburn game, he would get up and go cut the grass at his church. And he said by the end of the season, it looked like the Masters out there around his church because he just had to cut it.
Was that Gene Chiswick's last year, maybe?
No, it was more recent than that. I think this was the Brian Harsin era.
Yeah, well, that grass will look great that year.
Yeah.
Yeah, people in the stadium did that. They left early. But what was crazy is right after that, Florida State comes down and scores.
Yeah.
And it's actually, it's a little bit of a game. They tried that spinny.
I didn't see it.
They tried the spinny onside kick again. I was watching for it. You talked about it last week.
Yeah. Same onside kick.
Same thing. They're consistent, if nothing else.
Well, it occurred to me this week as I was thinking about this game, and, we've got our group text where we talk about college football, and it might be Southern Football Report related. It might just be, general college football talk like most people out there probably have with their buddies. And I text you guys, and it occurred to me, I have figured out, I have pinpointed what I think is one of Mike Norvell's biggest issues, and it's both micro and macro. We're not even going to talk about recruiting. Like, that is one of his issues.
Yeah, different thing.
But, I mean, Florida State was more talented than Pitt and Virginia. So recruiting's not why you lost to Pitt and Virginia. Mike Norvell is not – he doesn't make adjustments. And what I mean by that is I'm not just talking about, the halftime cliche, like, man, we got to make some defensive adjustments in the second half. I mean, my man doesn't try anything different.
You're saying like from game to game?
From game to game, whether it's the onside kick that we're going to try this week, whether it's, in-game adjustments, whether it's big picture like approach to recruiting, whether it's, the adjustments that as a fan I have seen Mike Norvell make have been forced adjustments.
Like staff adjustments or philosophy and adjustments? Staff
adjustments, so going out and hiring Gus Malzahn and Tony White, that was
changing your philosophy on offense. Yeah.
Yeah. When it comes to things like, for example, recruiting, like no adjustments have been made, to my knowledge, under Mike Norvell's tenure at Florida State. So it's one thing to think, hey, man, this is going to work. Like, if you trust me, trust the process, things will turn around. And we saw that actually happen the first few years. The problem is the message now, we're having the same problems we had 3 or 4 years ago. The message now is the exact same. It's like, we've just got to respond. We've got to keep climbing. It's this cliche city.
Yeah.
And there's
that does get old and frustrating as a fan. The Bama game has become more and more of an anomaly.
Oh, of course it is.
Like just a more like as Bama continues to like ascend and Florida State flounders, it seems like, right? You've fallen 3 games in a row in the ACC. You have to throw it out because you're like, man, that was like, how did that happen? But none of that same stuff is there. Well, or maybe all the same stuff is there and everybody has the book on it.
So that was my point in the text that I sent you guys. And I think that's one of the reasons why Mike Norvell has been successful in season openers.
Yeah.
So LSU 2 years in a row, Alabama this year. Like, he had a game plan that worked for those games.
Yeah.
The problem was the next 3 or 4 games after that, when other teams see this game plan and it's the same, same theory. And I'm not just specifically talking about X's and O's. I'm talking about, the dudes that they put on the field. Now, to their credit, there are a lot more young guys playing for Florida State this year than there have been in years past. They're not necessarily just playing the dude that's been there 3 or 4 years because he knows the system, even though he keeps messing up every week. Like, they're putting new dudes on the field, but it's the lack of, and I think this is why he's so streaky. So it's so wild. You'll love this, Brian Howell. Since 1976, and I may get the numbers wrong just a little bit here, but you'll get the gist of it. Florida State has had 10 3-game losing streaks.
Since 76.
Since 76. There have been 4 coaches, Bobby Bowden, Jimbo, Willie Taggart, Mike Norvell. Bobby had 2 of them. From 1976 to 2009, he had 2 3-game losing streaks. Jimbo had 1. Okay? That's 3 of your 10.
That was last year?
One of them was his last year, yes.
Yeah.
All right. Willie had 1. Mike Norvell has 6.
That's wild.
3-game losing streaks of the 10 in modern history.
That's crazy.
And that's not my stat. That comes from Warchant. Corey Clark put that together. But to make it even more frustrating, Mike Norvell also has a 19-game winning streak at Florida State. So it's boom or bust. And so my point is like he's so streaky. And when things are working, we're not going to change it because it's working, right? When things are not working, we're still not going to change it because it worked once before.
So I don't remember exactly because I didn't watch him close enough. The Jordan Travis year, right? 2023. They beat LSU. And it's one of those opening season games. I think it was close to the end.
No, that game was not close. The year
before that was close. Okay. Yeah. So they beat LSU. I know Jordan Travis they're undefeated. Jordan Travis gets hurt at the end. did they struggle in the middle of that?
So
like, did they progressively get worse through the season, or did they? You get what I'm trying to say? Like, was there a recension to the mean?
So
kind of.
So if you back up to 22, they had a 3-game losing streak.
Okay,
and then they won their final 6 games, including the bowl game that year, to finish 10-3. You go into 23 with a 6-game winning streak, including wins over Florida and Oklahoma. You go into 23 and you beat LSU in week 1. I think it was 45-24, something like that. And then you had several close games during that winning streak where Clemson, for example, is an overtime win that year at Clemson. They won that game 24-17 and were in danger of losing that game until Kalen DeLoach comes on a blitz, forces a fumble, it's returned for a touchdown, and then they score a touchdown in overtime. And so, yes, that game, the team was probably actually better in the 6-game winning streak in 2022
than they were in the middle of 23's undefeated season.
Right.
Gotcha.
The offense was clunky that year. There was just weird things about that season. I mean, they still won the games, and the defense was still pretty good. Jordan Travis was still pretty good. Yeah. Jared Verse was really good. Braden Fisk was really good. That was a good football team, but they weren't blowing everybody out.
Right.
So, yeah, the Norvell experiment in Tallahassee, and we're not going to spend the whole podcast on this, but it's just gotten to the point now where, unfortunately for him, he's lost even the fans that were giving him all of the benefit of the doubt after the 2.
This is a game that he couldn't lose. Like, for this reason, right? You on the line was that fan.
Right.
The fan that, man, I'm really behind Mike Norvell. He's the guy that turned it around.
Yeah, we've seen him do it once. We know he can do it.
Then you lose this game and you drop 3 in a row in the ACC, and you're really seemingly out of it.
Here
we
are on another streak.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Dustin.
Yeah.
How many in a row is that in the league?
8. 8 in a row.
I think that's right. So
he hasn't. So Josh LaJeunesse told me this today. He hasn't. The last time he won an ACC game, he was 42 years old.
Yeah.
He's now 44 years old. Now that's a misnomer because he won his last game. He won in the ACC was like right before he turned 43, which was maybe the beginning of last year.
September.
And then he turned 44 on Saturday. Mm-hmm. But it sounds terrible that you haven't won an ACC game in 2 birthdays.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, and that's the problem. And see, obviously, losing 8 conference games in a row is a problem, especially at Florida State. It's not
in a down conference, too, really.
It's not like you're losing 8 conference games to a bunch of Clemsons or Miamis. You're losing conference games to teams like Duke, Pitt, which, I mean, even Pitt, they rise up every now and then, they could be a tough team, whatever. But, Virginia, these teams that you have not lost to more than a handful of times ever.
Right.
I mean, Mike Norvell owns the worst loss in school history, Jacksonville State at home. By the way, they started 0-4 that season. Okay, speaking of streaks. They went 0-4 to start that season, including a loss to Jacksonville State at home. He owns the program's only loss to Duke ever. Okay? He owns the most 3-game losing streaks. He owns the worst season in school history at 2-10. But at the same time, he also owns a 19-game winning streak and, an ACC championship and things that, if the 22-23 season doesn't happen, Mike Norvell's not the coach today. He would have been fired, last year,
right,
mid-season. It's just so frustrating because, going back to your point, you see the Alabama game, you see what the team is capable of, and you know what? 3 weeks ago, when people would say things like, yeah, but if they played that game again, it's a different outcome, I'd roll my eyes and tell you all the reasons why that's not true.
Yeah.
But actually, the fact is now,
it is true.
It is true.
Yeah.
It might not have been 3 weeks ago. It's become true since then.
Right. That's frustrating. It's really frustrating for Florida State fans.
Yeah.
He always looks like fresh-eyed and like he don't look worn out and haggard like the rest of these coaches. Do you think he's getting after it in week like everybody else? I mean, what do you think it is?
I think it's.
He should bring the dreads back. He should bring the cornrows back.
If you saw him this week in his press conferences, you would think, man, that dude looks like he's about to fall over.
He looks bad. Okay.
Yeah. I think it's ultimately an accountability issue. I'm not necessarily the dude that says, oh, you got to scream at your players on the sidelines to be a good coach. I understand there are different approaches to how people coach. And I rolled my eyes when Kirby became the coach at Georgia and somebody said they saw Kirby screaming at a player on the sidelines in year one. And they said, well, he's done more coaching in this game than Mark Richt ever did. And I get it.
It's a different approach.
I understand the results have been different and Kirby's, proven to be a much better coach than Mark Richt. But I'm not saying Mike Norvell's got to scream at everybody on the sidelines. I mean, none of the coaches do. They you blow an assignment on defense and, Mike Norvell's just kind of staring at the stadium like the scoreboard, like watching the replay as if he can't believe what he just saw. Except we've seen it 4 times this game, Mike.
Yeah, and last game and the game before that.
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating as a Florida State fan because, if you told me before the season started you're going to go 8-4 and you're going to beat Alabama,
you take it.
I would have been like, okay, that sounds pretty good. We're on the way back up again, Now, if by some miracle he wins 5 of the next 6 and finishes 8-4 with a win over Alabama, none of us are looking at it like, man, we're on the way back up.
That somebody, I don't know who it was, you or Brian, sent it today. It was Nebraska and Georgia, how you look at 5-1.
Yeah.
5-1 at Nebraska right now is totally different than 5-1 at Georgia right now.
Yeah.
And the tough part is you follow up a Pitt game like that. Now you got to fly across the country. We talked about this the last 2 weeks. You're flying across the country to play Stanford at 10 p.m. Eastern.
10:30.
10:30 Eastern. I mean, Brian's been in beds.
Yeah.
There's no chance Brian's in any of this game. But it's in a tough spot. I mean, just in a really, really tough spot. And we're getting to coaching carousel later, but how much longer and how many more games is it feasible to keep it going?
Well, we've got to move on. We've spent 15 minutes on Mike Norvell, but the last thing I will say is if they lose to Stanford, that's it.
Yeah,
he's done. There's no way. Like, they may not fire him on Sunday, but the man's fired at that point.
Dead man walking, right?
Yeah, I mean, Stanford's awful. Yeah. I don't care that it's 10:30 p.m. on a Saturday night. Nobody's going to care anymore. There are no more excuses. I don't care if everybody on offense and everybody on defense gets hurt and we have to play our second and third stringers. No more benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
By the way, there were 5 starters out on offense in that game, and they still scored 31 points.
Yeah, still should have won.
Right. It wasn't the offense's fault. All right, moving on quickly because we spent too much time on Mike Norvell. Texas versus Oklahoma. Brian, you called it, but you didn't call it.
So close.
You said that whoever leads who has the most rushing yards is going to win the game, and then we follow that up by saying it's not going to be Texas, but then it was. Were you surprised by that, Brian?
Dude, I said that with emphasis as well.
Yeah.
I was sure of that. And then here comes Wisner with his best game in probably his career.
He rushed for right a little over 100.
Right at it.
Yeah.
But just physical, breaking tackles, I think it was early third quarter. He broke off a 25 or 30-yard run that got them going. They were down 6-3. It kind of sparked them. And, man, Manning kind of had a day too. I know the stat line doesn't show it, but he was under pressure a lot and stepped around and moved around and made some crazy throws.
Yeah, I was impressed with him under pressure. You're right. I was impressed with him under pressure. That he had not performed that well under pressure in previous games. And I think we all said, Oklahoma's got a great defensive line. They're going to pressure him, make him make some throws. And he finally, in moments, looked like the guy that everybody talked about. Now, he still had his moments in the game. Now, don't get me wrong. But he looked like there were spurts, there were streaks in the game. You're like, yep, that's the guy that they were talking about. That's the Manning that we were looking for. There was a really, really good pass. He rolls out to his angle. Yeah, I mean, he rolls out to his left and he throws a dot. I mean, I think it was the tight end. It was beautiful, 25 yards right on the sideline. And they're like, okay, well, this guy really is good. But I think Dustin said it a few weeks ago. Texas is that team that scares you because they have all the tools that they can do it, but you just don't know if they're going to put it together every week, right? It's the Ferrari that may or may not crank up.
Do you think there's a possibility that they go on the road and lose at Kentucky this week?
There's 100%.
And that's the dichotomy. Like, okay, they beat Oklahoma, and now they're going to go on the road and struggle.
And I'm not
Kentucky.
even sure the way that they played that Mateer. I'm not sure Mateer's. He made with 85%, probably at the very best. They were trying to play it off like he was totally fine. Dude had surgery 17 days before the game. Even with him playing well, I'm not sure it mattered.
Also,
who was bleeding over there? You think they probably would have just been better off playing the backup and letting him take another week.
Well, even if he was physically ready, I mean, practice time matters.
Yeah,
and leading up to that game, you need to be fully prepared. I mean, you need to be in sync with your wide receivers, and 3 weeks off.
Well, and did he trust? He says he's ready. He's a 20-something-year-old kid. Of course, they're all invincible and they're bulletproof. Mm-hmm. So, I'm ready. I can play. But, in the back of his mind, his heart of hearts, he probably didn't think he can make every throw, which is why you throw 3 picks.
Right.
Right? He's like, I can't squeeze it where I used to squeeze it. Mm-hmm. I got to do this a little bit different. I got to do this a little bit different. There was one they pointed out on the game where, he was getting tackled and he made a point to not land on his hand. Mm-hmm. He was trying to protect that hand from being hit on the ground, but it's Texas is what's the quarterback? They're back.
My God!
But they're not. I don't think they are. Here we are. I'm gonna say this, and in a few weeks they play Georgia, and who knows what's gonna happen. But that was a game that Oklahoma has now become back down to earth, and here we are again.
One thing I want to point out real quick.
Go ahead.
One thing I want to point out real quick. If you believe in the FPI, which you may or may not, I'm leery of any metric put out by ESPN, but whatever. If you believe in the FPI, Oklahoma's strength of schedule up to this point is ranked 32nd. Mm-hmm. Okay, and that's including the Texas game. Their remaining strength of schedule is ranked 3rd.
Mm. So they have an uphill climb.
Right. Another one I'll throw out to you. Ole Miss's strength of schedule up to this point, which includes LSU, is ranked 63rd. Their remaining strength of schedule is 23rd.
Yeah.
So my point is these teams like Oklahoma or Ole Miss or Tennessee I can do the same thing with, that are 5-1, have not hit the meat of their schedule yet. And I think we're going to start to see them come back down to earth a little bit, like we saw with Oklahoma and Texas.
Yeah. It's true. Like we said last week, the cupcake games are over.
Right.
They get a few in the end of November, but the season at that point is pretty much decided. So, right now is the meat. October is the meat of the season, and the cream will rise to the top.
Real quick on that note.
So Texas cannot.
Go ahead.
Texas can't lose again, right? They just can't.
No.
They're at Mississippi State. They got Kentucky, at Mississippi State. They got Vandy at home. They're at Georgia. They got Arkansas at home. Then they got A&M at home.
Yeah.
Any way they run that?
No.
And their schedule is about even from here. So it's 10th at this point. They've played the 10th toughest schedule, and the remaining strength of schedule is 15th.
Well, because they've got Georgia and A&M on there.
There's no drop off. It's not like they've played the meat and now they
right.
get
Mississippi State's 4-2 right now, so they
right.
They're probably getting a few votes in the top 25.
Right. Yeah, Mississippi State's got the 40th strength of schedule as of today. The remaining is 4th.
Yeah.
So we'll see Mississippi State, win 2 or 3 more games and get to 6-6 or 7-5. But we'll talk about that more in a moment. Indiana at Oregon. Our man Signetti, just Google him. If you don't know anything about him, Google him. He wins games. Brian, what are your thoughts on Indiana going out to Oregon and winning by 2 scores, 30-20?
Yeah, very impressive, man. I mean, I don't know what to say. Dude just gets it done. I think he coaches the finer points, and he's just got that team locked in. I don't know. I was talking to y'all about the roster. I mean, it ain't a Midwest team. He's got dudes from the Southeast all over that roster, and I think he's got team speed. He's got guys from James Madison. They're still with him that have been starting for 4 years. They got it going on, man. They got a quarterback that is probably maybe first-round draft pick. I just think they're really good and very well coached.
that team takes on his personality too. The kind of, I don't give a, you know what, like, we're just who we are. We just win games. Nobody cares about us. Little old me. Like, we just going to go out there and play our brand of football. And that's, I kind of felt like Oregon's going to go in there and bully them, and Oregon taking on Dan Lanning's kind of crazy Dan Lanning, shirtless, jumping in the pool, Dan Lanning kind of thing. But it seemed like from the jump, like they were just shell shocked by Indiana's like willingness to punch back. And that's,
well, Kyle, have you looked at their size?
They're huge.
Like, they're not the undersized underdog. Like,
No,
they're legit.
There's a bunch of under-recruited guys that have developed, a lot of them, like you said, from James Madison, that have developed under Signetti for a long time, and he's just coached them up. And they are he's developed these guys into the team that he wants it to be. And they're playing like it. And now, I mean, I think you've got 2 years worth of data to show you that he's the real deal. Like, he might be cocky and he is who he is, and he's not ashamed of it. It's going to get my man paid. That's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about that. All right, let's talk about Georgia-Auburn.
Let's just give the Georgia team a hand.
Okay. I'm clapping. I know you can't hear me, but
no, that's yes, everybody's making the game about two particular instances. Mm-hmm. They're making the game about the goal line stand, fumble, not fumble. Call it what you want to call it. If you wear orange, it's a touchdown. If you wear red, if you wear orange in any other color, it's a touchdown. If you wear red and black, it was a fumble, right?
And they're all a touchdown.
And they're also making it about, the timeout, not timeout, clap in hands, whatever. That game was not about that. That game was about, to your point about Mike Norvell and adjustments, was Kirby's adjustments at halftime. He can say all he wants. We didn't change anything. No, you changed something. Whether you crawled up in their butt and you gave them a piece of your mind, or you did a few little things to change, something changed. Because you could tell there was a different team after halftime. Whether it was just better assignment football, more focus, whatever, whether it was X's and O adjustments, I don't know what it was. But whatever they did, they changed something. And, 20 unanswered points from the time the fumble occurred to the end of the game, that's sporty, no matter how you slice it. Now, Georgia cannot continue to do that.
Right.
They're not, people say, championship teams win those games. No, championship teams don't go down 10-0 and look like hot garbage.
And almost 17-0.
Right.
Yeah.
They just don't look that bad. And so, Georgia's got to figure it out, but good on them for finding a way. I think you see a lot of resilience in this team. You see guys that are just going to fight to the end. I watched like the little, highlight video, the post-game thing earlier this week. And, they're a resilient team and they pride themselves on, hey, we're a 4-quarter team. And they've showed that this season against Bama. Didn't come out on top, but showed they could bounce back in the second half. But they cannot continue to play with fire. But I was impressed with the way they fought back. I was impressed with Gunner and how he was able to handle some pressure, put the team on his back in some instances and carried him to the win he needed to get.
When life throws you the unexpected, wouldn't it be great to have someone right there with you? Like a good neighbor, State Farm agent Thomas Horn is there, ready to help protect what matters most to you. Call Thomas today at 229-798-4018 for a free quote. He might just save you money and get you better protected. Serving all of Southwest Georgia like a good neighbor, State Farm agent Thomas Horn is there. Visit his website at thomasismyagent.com.
Dude, Gunner's tough as all get out.
Yeah.
Like, he got rocked several times.
So I've used Gunner this week. I've used Gunner this week with Wyatt. Wyatt cut his toe at the house and he was losing his mind. And I said, Wyatt, do you think that Gunner Stockton sits there and cries when he gets sacked, or does he get up and just do it again? And he doesn't do that. So like, I've used Gunner's toughness as like an example, which I think a lot of kids can learn from it. But there needs to be a stat of like, how good is Gunner Stockton after he gets hit? I think we need to get him sacked like twice in the first quarter, and then I think he plays better once he gets hit a little bit. Or maybe just send him on a couple quarterback draws and just get his mind blown, by some linebacker, and then he's going to play well.
Well, they've got Ole Miss this week, and Lane Kiffin said, giving Kirby, and you always have to take Lane Kiffin compliments. Like, you have to kind of wonder if there's some sort of backhanded, compliment there. But he first of all called him the best coach in college football and said they find ways to win. And that's exactly what happened against Auburn. Yeah. And they don't always win the exact same way. Look, Georgia is probably not going to win the national championship this year. They might. Like, who knows? Don't bet against Kirby and the Dogs. But this is not the same team that we've seen from Georgia in years past. But one thing that I think is great about Kirby Smart is the three of us who are not college football coaches. We are not film junkies. We are not paid to break this stuff down. We can tell you that they have a problem with pass rush. But Kirby has found a way to work around that. He's found a way to scheme around it. And I know Tennessee scored some points. I know Alabama did too. But the fact is, he's not letting that kill him every week. Yeah. And every team out there's got some sort of wart. And the best coaches, I think, find a way to win knowing they've got an issue here.
Yeah.
And the other coaches know that issue's there too. Kirby's just not allowing it to be exploited. Now, it could be exploited again.
I was going to say, if there's a coach that can exploit it, it's the one we're facing this week. Kirby, the same way that Lane talked about Kirby. Kirby said Lane is the best in-game adjuster, in-game football coach he's ever coached with.
Well, isn't that something? You are allowed to make adjustments in-game?
Yes.
Oh.
He
Somebody tell Mike Norvell.
From their time together at Alabama, he said he's not seen a guy that coaches football in the game better than Lane Kiffin, which Kirby has said this week that worries him because, they're going to be able to adjust on the fly, find how Kirby's hiding these warts, right? Find the Band-Aids he's putting on and ripping them right off.
Yeah.
So Georgia's up. They got a tough task this week.
All right, let's move on to our preview section, and let's just stay there. Let's talk about Georgia and Ole Miss. That game's 3:30?
3:30 in Athens. A return trip to Athens after the Ole Miss game last year. I was at. I hope I'm going to be at this game. I hope that the outcome is different. We just kind of talked about a lot of it. Can Kirby continue to find ways to win with a lack of pass rush? Are some of the guys that, the word is Ernest Green has practiced this week. He's been out for several weeks. They say Monroe Freeling is getting more reps this week after playing last week on kind of a half a leg. Chauncey Bowens apparently has practiced well this week. He was out a decent amount. Though he did score a touchdown last week, he was out a decent amount. Kirby said Georgia's not an explosive team. We want to be. We try to be. We're not. Like, we're a 12, 14, 15 play, 8, 10-yard play drive. Like, that's just who we are. And so, can they do that against the team that is explosive? I mean, Brian, what do you think about this quarterback? Worries me to death.
Yeah. It's going to be high scoring. I don't doubt that for a second. I don't think Ole Miss is as good defensively as Auburn is, but they're going to score. I mean, we're going to need to get into the mid-30s to win this game.
Yeah. It's I was reading something today. I think it was on 3, Rusty Mansell and Jake Rowe and that crowd, and they were talking about how Georgia's going to really have to focus on the edges that right now. Is it Golding? I think Pete Golding is the DC there. They've really just focused so much this season on just clogging the middle up and not allowing you to get any yards, between the tackles. Getting guys on the edges is going to be important this week. I think we can get Dwight Phillips back. He's kind of a speed guy. Get him on some edges. Use Zachariah Branch in some ways. Use Dylan Bell in some ways to get people on the outside to maybe soften the middle back up a little bit. But Georgia's going to have to lean on some of the run game that has been successful this year. They're going to have to find different ways to find some explosives to keep up. Like, Georgia cannot go down 17 points in this game. They can't go down 10 points in this game.
This is a 250-yard rushing game.
Yeah.
Got to be.
Mm.
And Bowens is good at bouncing it, man.
Yeah.
We need him. He's the best bouncer we've got.
He seems to have the best vision.
Yeah, that's what it's going to take to win this game, in my opinion.
Listen, I don't know, from a personnel standpoint or anything else, but if we're just a casual fan, let's just say you're putting money on this game. Here are the things I'm going to point to. First of all, Georgia's played a much tougher schedule. We just saw evidence of that in the ESPN FPI. Just a reminder on that, Georgia's schedule so far this year is ranked 8th compared to Ole Miss's 63rd.
Yeah.
So we know Georgia's played a tougher schedule, right? Georgia's at home. This is a night game. This is a Kirby Smart coached team. And I know that there are other variables outside of that, other things that will influence the outcome of this game. But if you're just looking surface level, give me Georgia in this one. I'm taking the Dogs.
Yeah, I'm with you, Dustin. I trust Kirby in this. I trust the adjustments. I trust the team and their resilience. Give me the Dogs.
Brian?
Give me the Dogs. Favored by 7.5, right?
Yeah, that's what it was earlier this week. I don't know if it's moved today or not.
I thought I saw 8.5, but maybe it was 7.5. Yeah, whatever. Touchdown.
A lot of the big money is on Georgia. A lot of picks are on Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss is getting like 70% of the picks, but the money, like 85% of the money, is on Georgia.
The Sharps.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of teams with a massive disparity in strength of schedule so far this season, Alabama's strength of schedule so far, number 2 in the country. Tennessee's strength of schedule so far, number 47 in the country. Again, road game for Tennessee. They're in Tuscaloosa. Bama's playing well. I know that one of them is ranked, 6th and one's 11th or something like that. But, man, this one just feels like to me, I know that Tennessee's going to have a little something for Bama, and Bama did not look good in week 1 against Florida State, but since then it's like a different team. Man, does Tennessee stand a chance here?
You want me to go?
Yeah, because I know your answer.
I think they do. I think Alabama's going to win, but I think it's going to be a good game. Give me Alabama to win.
I saw somebody say that y'all see the post game on the field interview with Ty Simpson last week. He was reading off his stats and the team stats and just how bad they were and how bad they were and how bad. Somebody said this was Nick Saban's final parting gift to Alabama. Like, he is a young Nick Saban in the way he just bemoans a win. Like, oh, this was terrible, terrible, terrible. I think he's really good, and I think Bama's really good. Give me Bama. I don't know that Tennessee is won't be up for the task.
Yeah, I'm taking Bama as well. Bama's favored by 11.5. Do they cover that?
Yeah, I think they do. I think Bama will cover. I think Bama will win by 17. I don't. Something about Tennessee and Josh Heupel and it's not. I know they play well against Georgia early on, but it's just something's. And I hate to say it. I believe in Alabama.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Tennessee played well against Georgia at home.
Yeah.
This game's on the road. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think Bama covers, though. I can see like 30-20.
The one thing going for Tennessee, though, which is different than what Georgia has against Alabama, Tennessee does not get scared of the crimson and white. Like, when they just roll, I think when Bama rolls into a game against Georgia, it's like a complex. Tennessee's beaten them enough recently for it not. They're not scared of who Alabama is, so they're not going to come in there, oh my goodness, this is big bad Alabama. But I do think this Bama team is really good because of who their quarterback is. I think he's got the right mentality.
Yeah,
I think Tennessee defends the pass pretty well, and I'm just not sure they're going to blow Tennessee off the ball and like run for 150. And I think it could get a little tricky for them. I think Tennessee's going to score.
You're right, Brian.
Alabama defense is not locked down. It's just okay. It's good, but it ain't great. And you can move the ball on them, obviously. I mean, Missouri had them, dude. Like, did y'all watch that game?
Yeah, that was a good game. That was a really good game. Missouri had every chance to win. Yeah.
Yes, they did.
I'll take it back. They're not going to win by 17. The reason Jam Miller's been in concussion protocol all week. So back to your point about preparation. Back to your point about preparation. Is he going to be prepared to play the game? Right? Will there be some lingering effects? I think they'll cover. It won't be 17 though.
Let me just read you off a little bit a few stats about Tennessee's defense. They're allowing 258.7 yards per game through the air. That's 123rd in the country. Their rushing defense is allowing 135.2 yards per game, which is good for 59th in the country. They're allowing 29.3 points per game.
Against the 63rd ranked schedule in the country, according to FBI.
Right.
Who'd they play last week?
I don't know. Did they have a bye last week?
Hold on, I'll tell you. Their last game was against
Martin.
No, Arkansas. October 11th.
Yeah.
Well, Petrino's putting up yards on everybody.
Arkansas scored twice at the end of the game. But I thought they were better against the pass than that.
Well, that for a couple weeks they had both starting cornerbacks were out. So in those games, what did that may have thrown? But still, that's pretty bad.
So they've allowed 26 to Syracuse. Maybe one of those was late though. I think maybe that game doesn't seem like it was close.
That was the first
that
game
I remember.
of the year.
Yeah, 17 to East Tennessee State. That one doesn't count. 41 to Georgia. 24 to UAB, 34 to Mississippi State, and then 31 to Arkansas. I think Bama scores some points on them.
Yeah.
For sure.
I don't know if Bama can stop them, though. So maybe that's the big difference maker. Alabama's defense has been pretty good so far this year, defending the pass. They're not doing well defending the rush, 93rd in the country right now in rushing defense. So. And that's just raw stats. That's not breaking it down and whatever. But all right. So
dude, that's so weird to not see them with a 1, 2, or 3 by their name for the rushing defense.
Yeah,
I know it's a different version of Alabama than what we grew up watching. The last 15 years. Alabama's defense is total points per game 17. I mean that's top 25 in the country. Let's look at LSU Vandy real quick. I know that Brian's a big Vandy fan, and so Brian, what do you think about this one, LSU Vandy?
Hey, I think it's going to be another slobber knocker, man. So Nussmeier's back, ripping it a little better, from what I understand. I think Vandy still has limitations vertically. They're going to have to play a certain kind of game to win this one. Is this at night? At LSU?
No, it's at Vandy.
And it's a noon game.
Nooner.
Nasty nooner.
Oh, give me Vandy.
Trying to catch up. We should update our listeners on the standings. We all went 1-4 last week.
Terrible.
We all went 1-4. Kyle, that makes you 20-12, makes me 15-18, and Brian makes you 13-19. We did not all pick the same games, but we all went 1-4, or whatever that means.
This is why I don't gamble.
Yeah, so you're taking Vandy, Brian?
Give me Vandy. Hey, have y'all seen the disparity? This is probably true across all of college football, but the SEC point disparity between 23, 24, and 25?
It's getting tighter.
It's almost half.
Wow.
From 23.
Wow.
Year to date.
That's wild.
Yeah, it was like 15 points. And now it's under 10.
Well, I think that's probably because the teams at the top have gotten worse, and the teams at the it's all kind of going back to the middle a little bit. Not necessarily, but I mean, you do have to give credit to. But Kentucky's worse than they were in 23. Vandy's better than they were in 23. So the bottoms come up too.
Yeah,
but probably meeting in the middle, like it is definitely more competitive now, these games. I mean, 3 years ago, we would have said LSU Vandy would give me LSU by 20.
Right. Oh, yeah. Vandy ain't Vandy. I said that for the last 2 years.
With Pavia.
Pavia's mentor is Johnny Manziel, which I'm not sure that's the best mentor to pick, but is what it is. He was wearing a Pavia jersey at Bama. I think he's kind of helping him navigate the publicity. I don't know if he's the best guy, but whatever. It is what it is. I'm not sure he's the one I'd look to. I would sure not send Pierce or Wyatt to Johnny Manziel to be their mentor. No, I'm like you. I don't know that, Brian, that they don't have the ability of the athletes really to push the ball too far down the field. They got to play a different style of football. And like it does seem like Nussmeier's turning the corner a little bit, gotten a little bit healthy. Give me LSU, even though it's Vandy. I've been to a Georgia game at Vandy at noon and watched my dogs lose, so it can happen. But LSU.
Yeah, that's an 11 o'clock kick there, right?
Yeah, but I mean noon for both of them. They're both Central Time.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, no, I said it would be 11 o'clock. Yeah, you're right. 11 o'clock Central.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only game I've ever gone to a breakfast tailgate. Like that was actually pretty cool. Like biscuits and like sausage biscuits and gravy at breakfast at a tailgate wasn't bad.
Okay, I can do that. I'll eat sausage.
Is that when Jordan Matthews?
That was the game that Ray Drew got thrown out for targeting.
Yeah,
James Franklin.
More on James Franklin in a moment. All right, real quick, let's pick USC at Notre Dame. So USC is one of those teams that is benefiting from a softer schedule so far this season. If I can get back to it, I'll tell you what their FPI ranking is on their season so far. They're one of those teams that is going to come back to earth. 70th ranked schedule so far this season. The remaining schedule is ranked 10th. Of course, they're ranked 20th in the country right now, and they're coming off a big win over Michigan. But this one's on the road at Notre Dame. Brian, you said that Notre Dame wouldn't have many more opportunities to impress the committee leading up to this point. But here we go, top 20 matchup between the two. Who you got?
Notre Dame. I don't think they're going to lose again. They're really good, in my opinion.
Yeah, they found their legs, right, Brian? The quarterback's fast. I was about to say the quarterback has found his game. Running back is kind of Jeremiah Love was my pick for Heisman. He's found his way back into the Heisman talk in the last few weeks. It's a classic game in college football.
Notre Dame's making the playoff, boys. I'm gonna go ahead and say that.
So that would be 2 years in a row that on the Southern Football Report, after early season losses, Notre Dame has been declared out.
I didn't do it this year.
Yeah, they have been declared out, and it's over. And then they make it all the way back. I mean, I kind of like it from a college football chaos standpoint. I know, Brian, you're not a big fan of Notre Dame, but I will say this. I told y'all last week, I was not impressed with their stadium or their campus. I understand all the tradition and all of that, but man, come on. It looked like a college, like a community college. I'm not really impressed with that, but Kyle, who you got?
I got Notre Dame.
Shoot, give me USC. Why not? I need to try to make up some ground. Maybe Notre Dame has benefited from, the last few weeks not being, their schedule so far.
Used to in this game, before turf, they let this grass grow real high.
Yeah,
to slow down USC. Yeah. They'd have that grass at 4 or 5 inches, right? But now they got turf, so it doesn't matter.
I'm taking USC just to try to make up some ground.
I think Carr's probably going to win a Heisman before he's out of there. He's really, really good.
That's just what Notre Dame needs. Good. Do you think Marcus Freeman stays there?
I don't know why you wouldn't.
Ohio State probably the only thing he leaves for.
Yeah, he ain't going to Penn State. We got Carousel coming up, maybe.
All right, real quick. Florida State at Stanford. 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time kickoff. Florida State's on a losing streak of 3 games this year in the ACC, 8 games. September, I think, 29th, 2024, when they won against Cal. 14-9, by the way, last year. Yeah, and Cal's kicker missed like 3 field goals in that game. So who you got? Florida State at Stanford.
I'll find out if Florida State wins on Sunday morning before church. But give me Florida State.
Brian?
Have we done anything different than Kyle yet?
I have, because I took USC, but actually you took Vandy and Kyle took LSU, so you have one different pick from him right now.
Y'all are going to beat Stanford, FSU.
Logic says that we go out there and just Stanford's bad. We know we have some talent, way more than Stanford does, but that didn't help us at home versus Pitt or on the road at Virginia. Mike Norvell's teams typically don't play well on the road. They are awful coming off of a loss. This is why he has so many losing streaks. It's a 10:30 p.m. kickoff on the West Coast, but I can't pick against them yet. Every week, I'm taking the Noles.
Have you heard? Are they going out there like Thursday, or have you heard any? We talked about this a little bit last week. There's different philosophies. Do you just get out there and just grit your teeth and play it, or do you kind of go out there early a little bit and adjust to it?
I'm not sure. I know that Mike Norvell's last press availability was yesterday, which I think is one day earlier than it normally is. I'll say this too. Even if they go beat Stanford and come home, Wake Forest is next week. And I have seen Wake Forest cost many, many Florida State coaches, their jobs. It cost Jeff Bowden his job as offensive coordinator. Wake Forest is like the team you can't lose to, unless you want to lose your job. So not only does Norvell need to go beat Stanford, he also needs to come home and beat Wake Forest the next week. But we'll just see. We'll see. This is the problem. Here we are in year 6, and we're saying, well, maybe we could beat Stanford and Wake Forest. This ain't Jim Harbaugh and Christian McCaffrey and Andrew Luck out there, in Palo Alto. It's, who even knows? Frank Reich, who's the interim coach. He agreed to coach for 1 year.
Only because him and Andrew Luck are buddies.
Yeah. So Andrew Luck is there.
Yeah.
But he's not playing.
Yeah.
But the way this season is going so far, I don't even know Stanford's quarterback's name, but watch him look like Andrew Luck.
Does he have a neck beard?
I don't know. The quarterback that beat him this past week was a true freshman making his first road start, his second start ever, and he looked like, Dak Prescott. It's just very frustrating. So who knows? I'm taking Florida State. We'll see what that looks like. All right, we've got a few minutes left here in the show. Any superlatives that we need to mention this week? Brian?
I'm gonna give a shout out to Gunnar Stockton. Took that shot to the head, shook his head like a dog that got slapped or something for a few seconds, and shook out the cobwebs.
I've seen a dog do that before.
Yes, that's what he did, and he came back and played hard, and that was impressive to me. I'm gonna give him a superlative.
Yeah, mine's the Georgia defense bouncing back from a terrible showing in the first half to pitch another second half shutout. That was you could tell from the very first play they came out of the second half and tried to run that stretch speed sweep kind of again, and Georgia shut it down. And I knew from that point I was like, man, we got something going. And so that was Georgia defense is my superlative.
Yeah, mine's going to Kurt Cignetti. I mean, you take your team out there and beat Oregon, and Oregon may or may not be a national championship winning team this year or contender. We'll see. We'll see what that looks like as the season moves on. But that's a big win for Indiana, man. I believed that they believed they were going to win. They went out there with that belief. They played hard, played tough, win by 2 scores on the road like that on the West Coast. It's what good teams do. I'm giving my superlative to Kurt Cignetti. All right, who's on upset alert for you guys this week? Kyle?
If there's one, this is just what I want to happen. Louisville at Miami.
Okay, Friday night game.
Friday night. That's one reason it's a weird night,
but it's in Miami.
So that's one that I've looked at. But that's kind of the only one I think, and there's a couple others out there. But yeah, Miami upset alert. It may just be a scare.
If you're listening to this on Saturday morning on the radio, then Kyle either got it right or got it wrong, and you'll know by then.
But I was going to pick South Carolina to upset Oklahoma, but they burned me last week, so I'm not doing that again.
Brian, who's on upset alert?
I guess I got to go with LSU since I've made such a hard stance for Vandy.
Okay. I got one for you. Virginia. Virginia plays at 6:30 on Saturday.
On the CW.
On the CW. They're hosting Washington State. Washington State, of course, took Ole Miss to the wire, and we know Lane Kiffin says they were preparing for Georgia, and maybe they overlooked Washington State. I'm assuming, Kyle, that Washington State took your advice and just stayed on this side of the country.
I would hope so.
Instead of flying all the way back and then all the way back. So Virginia, looking pretty good so far this year. Got a big win earlier in the season against Florida State. But I'm putting Virginia on upset alert versus Washington State. This would be the most ACC thing ever.
Another one to watch is Arizona State and Texas Tech.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Does the coach ever admit that?
Lane Kiffin does all the time. I think he's pretty transparent.
That's the cardinal sin, right? Looking ahead.
Yeah, you're not supposed to. Your opponents are supposed to be nameless, I think.
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah, I couldn't believe he said that.
All right, real quick, let's talk about the coaching carousel, specifically James Franklin out at Penn State, $50 million buyout, which, interestingly enough, there is a clause that says he has to seek employment either in coaching or broadcasting, and if he gets a job, then Penn State only owes him the difference between what his new job pays and what they would be paying him per year as part of this buyout. Now, if I'm Franklin, I'm taking my sweet time.
Yeah. Well, good on Penn State's lawyers for getting that passed.
Yeah. Yeah. No, thank you. I don't want to go to the NFL. No, I don't want the, any other big job.
Yeah,
I'll just wait.
I wonder how they prove that. How do they prove that he's looking for a job? He can get his agent to put whatever feelers out that he wants, in the media.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some good faith definition or something
Probably.
that he has to use.
It's $50 million, so.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Do you think Matt Rule's going to Penn State? I don't know. There's a way. I mean, he says he's not. He says he's all in Nebraska, but there's too many ties.
So apparently the athletic director at Penn State hired Matt Rule at...
Is it Temple?
Temple, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, so they have history there. Yeah, he played linebacker there under Joe Paterno. I mean, yeah.
He went to high school there.
I don't think he's the right pick.
No.
I don't think he'll do any better than James Franklin did, quite honestly.
Dude, did they jump the gun?
Did Penn State jump the gun?
Yes.
You're saying getting out of – you think they're trying to get out in front of a Florida, though?
No, I mean, dude, have you seen their schedule next year? If they keep Franklin, they walk into the playoff.
What's you thought this year, though? All you had was Oregon, technically.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the talk this year. That's why they were ranked number 2 at the beginning of the year. It's like, man, their schedule plays out perfectly. You get Oregon at home. You knew it was going to be a whiteout. Yeah. Even if you lose that one, you cakewalk into the playoff.
A lot of people outside of Athens thought that Georgia made a mistake when they fired Mark Richt.
Yeah.
And it worked out fine.
It's that old adage, like the devil you know, right? Like, do you keep the devil you know, or do you cut ties and try to find something different? I'm like you, Dustin. I don't know that Matt Rule he's more of James Franklin. And I read some stuff. I think, Brian, you sent us some stuff too about James Franklin didn't lose his job because he went 3-3. There's some stuff behind the scenes that has happened over the years that have rubbed folks the wrong way and rubbed boosters the wrong way and rubbed recruits the wrong way. There's other reasons why he lost his job, but being 3-3 was just that straw, right? Being 3-3 when you were ranked number 2.
He rubbed the ex-players the wrong way, from what I understand.
Right. Not many ex-players have come out and
lost that crowd.
Yeah. Not many ex-players have come out in support of him. Michael Parsons did, I think, but there's not many others. But yeah, it in the last job was going to come open. It may have come open this week.
There may be a couple come open this week. We could see Florida open this week. We could see Auburn open this week. We could see Florida State open this week. There are plenty of other opportunities out there. And by the way, fans of teams like Florida and Florida State that are looking to raise the floor has been so low lately. Of course, they want to win national championships, but hey, can we not be a laughingstock again?
Yeah.
James Franklin's probably not a bad choice.
Yeah.
If you want to raise the floor. Now, if you want to win a national championship, he might not be the right one.
And you might get him for cheap.
Right?
You could probably get him for pretty cheap. He's getting a guaranteed $8 million or something.
Yeah, he could negotiate a low contract and make them pay the difference.
Yeah.
Ain't no doubt.
That's been another episode of the Southern Football Report presented by State Farm agent Thomas Horn, thomasismyagent.com. Thanks so much for tuning in. As always, you can download this on your favorite podcast app and take it with you, or listen on the Flint Media family of radio stations on Saturday mornings. We'll be back next week with another episode. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you then.